Her gaze once held an entire industry completely captivated under its powerful spell. Now that same gaze finds it difficult to locate even a single familiar face within a crowded room. For 60 full years, this remarkable gaze commanded the heights of British theatre, directed the course of a worldwide spy franchise, and carried the immense symbolic weight of an empire across the silver screen with unmatched authority. For well over a decade beyond that, she kept performing at the highest level long after her eyesight had begun to fail her in significant ways, quietly relying on close friends who would patiently read her lines aloud again and again so that audiences never suspected or noticed anything was wrong. What exactly happened during the important year when she finally walked away from her most iconic on-screen role? How was she able to continue delivering strong performances once her own eyes had started to betray her so profoundly? And why does she continue to avoid saying the word retirement even now? To truly grasp the full story, we need to travel back to the very origins of her journey. Judith Olivia Dench entered the world in the historic city of York, England, on the 9th of December in 1934. Today, at the remarkable age of 91, she is widely regarded as one of the finest and most accomplished actresses that Britain has ever produced across its rich cultural history. Her extraordinary career now spans well over 6 decades, covering every major area of theatre, film, and television with consistent excellence. Yet it all started not in front of bright cameras and lights, but on the historic stage of the Old Vic Theatre in 1957. The world of theatre shaped and defined her earliest years as an artist, and the works of William Shakespeare formed the essential foundation around which the theatre itself revolved for her. She quickly rose to become one of the most defining and respected Shakespearean actresses associated with the prestigious Royal Shakespeare Company. Between the years 1976 and 1977, she delivered a memorable performance standing beside a young and talented Ian McKellen, taking on the complex and demanding role of Lady Macbeth in a production that continues to be studied and admired in drama schools and institutions even today. Cinema would also come to claim a major part of her legacy in time. In 1998, she received the prestigious Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress thanks to her unforgettable work in the film Shakespeare in Love. Just 3 years before that victory, she had already stepped into a role that would make her a familiar face in one of the most recognizable and successful film franchises across the globe. She accepted the part of M in the James Bond movies, a character she would portray with great strength and intelligence from GoldenEye in 1995, all the way through to Skyfall in 2012. 7 Oscar nominations, in total, followed her impressive body of work over the decades. She also earned more than a dozen BAFTA awards, a respected Tony Award for her stage achievements, and in 1988, she was honored as a Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire. This title recognized a lifetime of outstanding contributions built upon elements that seemed deceptively simple on the surface. A voice that was instantly distinctive and impossible to mistake. A stage presence so powerful that no theater could contain it. And a gaze that audiences around the world found truly unforgettable. That very same gaze is the one now slowly fading away into darkness and uncertainty. Back in 1957, a determined 22-year-old woman from York first walked onto the stage of the Old Vic and remained a vital force within the theatre world for the following 6 decades without interruption. She was never one for flashy displays or loud gestures. What she offered instead was something far more difficult to define, yet utterly impossible for anyone to ignore. A quiet yet intense presence that drew audiences forward in their seats, making them feel certain that whatever she was about to say held genuine importance and depth. The Royal Shakespeare Company was among the first to fully recognize her exceptional abilities. Judi Dench established herself as one of the standout Shakespearean performers of her entire generation. She moved with impressive precision through both tragic and comedic roles, in ways that left critics searching for the right words to describe her skill. In 1976, she appeared opposite a young Ian McKellen in the role of Lady Macbeth within a production so stark, intense, and free of unnecessary spectacle that it remains a teaching example in drama schools worldwide, proving that raw talent and bare staging can create more impact than elaborate sets ever could. The deep artistic and personal partnership she formed with McKellen during that single powerful production would last far longer than many marriages, professional careers, or passing trends. It would still stand strong 50 years later, when both actors had accumulated far more real-life sorrows and experiences than anything a fictional Scottish king could represent. Although theater held a sacred place in her heart, it could only reach a limited audience no matter how brilliant the performances were. Cinema, however, allowed her work to touch people across the entire world. For Dench, cinema arrived not during her youthful years, but when she was already a mature woman in her 60s. She stepped confidently into a new role that introduced her to an entire generation who had never experienced live theater. In 1995, she became M, the no-nonsense head of MI6 in GoldenEye, intelligent, unsentimental, and entirely unimpressed by James Bond's usual charm. This casting choice represented a truly radical and refreshing reinvention of the character. She carried this important role with distinction through 7 different films spread across 17 years, ending with Skyfall in 2012. Throughout this long period, honors and awards continued to arrive in a steady and almost effortless flow. Her Academy Award win in 1998 for Shakespeare in Love was just one highlight among many. 7 total Oscar nominations, a large collection of BAFTA awards, a Tony, and her well-deserved damehood in 1988 all felt like formal acknowledgments catching up to what audiences and critics had recognized for a very long time. What seldom received much attention in public headlines was the full, personal life unfolding alongside her professional triumphs. She shared a marriage with the talented actor Michael Williams, and together they raised a daughter named Finty Williams, who would later pursue her own successful path in acting. There was also a grandson named Sam, who was born into a family already rich with 2 generations of stage and screen experience. Then in 2001, even while Judi Dench remained one of the most sought-after actresses, still active as M and drawing large crowds to theaters, her husband Michael Williams sadly died. After battling cancer, she chose not to stop working despite this profound loss. She continued to perform without pause. Anyone who has experienced the death of a spouse, while external demands for public appearances and performances keep coming, understands the special kind of unglamorous daily endurance this requires. By the year 2012, Judi Dench had dedicated 55 years to building one of the most respected and influential careers in the entire history of British performing arts. She had done this across countless stages and screens, moving through periods of grief as well as triumph, and adapting to every version of herself that the industry had asked her to embody. That same year marked her farewell to the character of M. Almost nobody watching her final scenes as head of MI6 realized that another profound personal challenge had already begun quietly and almost invisibly within her own eyes. The cameras kept rolling for other projects, and media headlines described her departure from Bond as the close of a major era. Very few people asked, at the time, what this moment might represent as a new beginning for her personally. What must it feel like to slowly realize that the single most important tool supporting your entire life's work is quietly disappearing, all while choosing to tell almost no one about it? In that same year of 2012, when she said goodbye to M, Judi Dench learned of a medical diagnosis that she would not discuss openly for several years afterward. At 77 years old, She was told she had age-related macular degeneration, a condition doctors often refer to by its initials, but whose full impact is too vast to easily summarize. This disease specifically attacks the macula, that small but critical area at the center of the retina, which handles the sharpest and most detailed parts of human vision. It is the part of sight that allows someone to read text clearly, recognize familiar faces, or carefully follow subtle movements during a live stage performance. In most cases, macular degeneration does not lead to total blindness. Instead, it creates a particularly painful effect by hollowing out central vision while preserving the outer edges. So the world does not disappear completely but becomes blurred, distorted, and frustratingly out of focus right where clarity is needed most. For Judi Dench, the full realization of these changes did not arrive suddenly, but developed slowly across more than a decade. Please subscribe this channel and wait for my next video. Thank you.